Yo, what's good, guys? Today we're watching 10 reasons why the Egypt pyramids terrify scientists. I wouldn't know why, honestly. Maybe the mystery behind building them, but aside from that, it shouldn't be too complicating. And yeah, let's watch.
10 amazing reasons why the Egypt pyramids terrify scientists. The pyramids are some of history's most iconic structures, but so much about them is clouded in mystery and unexplainable origins. Here are 10 amazing reasons why the Egypt pyramids terrify scientists. Number 10, each brick weighs from 2 to 50 tons.
Oh, oh, wait, hold on. 2 to 50 tons. Okay, that's actually pretty impressive. He said each brick. 50 tons, you guys know that's like 100,000 pounds. So each brick weighing from 2 to 50 tons, that's actually crazy. That's kind of hard for humans to build. But then humans did build it. There's no other way around how that got there. It's not like some alien just snapped their finger and made it.
Imagine the
So yeah,
transportation cost of carrying 2 to 50 tons of any item today. It would probably be an insane amount no matter what you're carrying, despite all the technological advancements that we've made today that make
no,
doing
but we
something
can
like this
replicate these
much
pyramids
easier than
though.
ever before. Now, go back 5,000 years, and they were carrying 2.5 million of these blocks that weighed up to 50 tons, all within a 12-year time.
Whoa. 2.5 million bricks within a time, no, within a 12-year time frame to build these pyramids. And each brick weighs from 2 to 50 tons. Okay, I understand why people are so suspicious of how the pyramids were built, but then the slaves built these things. Because it has to be, because Egypt had a long, they enslaved those Hebrews. And, I just know this from the biblical perspective. Because there's no other way these things got here. Egypt had to have had slaves. And it can't only be 12 years, though. You can't build this thing in 12 years. Yeah, this is pretty impossible for 12 years. I'd understand if it was 100 years, but 12, no, that's impossible.
Frame. And that's for the Great Pyramid alone. While 12 years is admittedly a long time for a construction project
Oh wait, it's
today,
only 12 years
for
for
the time
one.
these pyramids were built, it's downright miraculous and highly confusing to scientists how the ancient Egyptians were able to build something like this without any support from modern technology at all. Maybe we haven't advanced so much as a civilization after all.
Well, no, but then the excuse is we don't know how advanced they were. I mean, these guys were smart people. It's not as if they were dumb. Current Egypt is in shambles. Really, they fell down from grace. It's like Egypt, you used to hear Egypt, you're like, whoa, pharaohs. This is cool. I feel like they should still have a pharaoh today. It would boost their how many people travel to Egypt. Egypt should be like England, how they still have a king and queen. They should also have their pharaohs still there. That would be kind of cool. But these guys were advanced because people can build this. It's not as if it's impossible. Working someone to death, you keep a generation of people for 100 to 200 years. They have kids and their kids' kids, their kids' kids. They're gonna build this stuff. You're born into making this. Your whole purpose in life is to make the pyramid, make them complete. I don't see why it's impossible to build that. I know the weights and 50 tons is a lot of stuff, but it's not impossible. It's still doable from my perspective.
Number 9. The pyramids aren't even close to how they originally looked. This fact makes scientists, historians, and archaeologists sadder than it makes them scared. And that's because much of the pyramid's original exterior has been lost to time because of natural deterioration, disasters,
that's
or looting.
natural. It's not really
The
that
original
sad.
structure, which is arguably the most important part, continues to withstand the test of time. The same can't be said for the incredible detail that was on these structures that were the finishing touches to this monument for the pharaohs. The pyramids were made
Why
of
do you say
massive
pharaohs
limestone
like
blocks
that?
that we see today. But covering all of that up was a coating of a somewhat rarer white limestone. The white limestone was considered to be the main attraction for the pyramids when they were built, as it would shine like a diamond in the desert whenever the sun would reflect on them.
That's
There aren't
beautiful.
any
These
plans
guys
of
had
restoring
good
the white limestone,
ideas.
which means we may never be able to see the pyramids how they were meant to be seen.
Well, we wouldn't know
Number 8.
either way.
They were able to survive without scientific technology. We've already mentioned how amazing it is that these pyramids were built such a long time ago, on a scale that wouldn't be seen for thousands of years after they'd already been built. And we've also mentioned how the original structure withstood the test of time. But that's not just some passing comment. It's absolutely ridiculous how these pyramids are still standing today. Out of all of the 7 wonders of the world,
look,
the great...
I hate to be that guy that ruins everyone's fun and trying to find something mysterious, but you said, the video said, each brick is from 2 to 50 tons. That's, 50 tons being 100,000 pounds. Something that's 100,000 pounds, let's say it's a rock. How is that going to deter? Ugh. How is a rock that's 100,000 pounds going to deteriorate? I see, everything has to decompose, but I see why the pyramids are still standing. The rocks they use are too big. It's not as if they're using hardened sand. Something weighing 100,000 pounds should not be demolished by time. Unless like a nuclear war breaks out, which did not happen.
The only structures on the list that continue to stand, despite the fact that
look
they're
how
older
huge
than
that
each
is.
of the other 6 wonders. Even other pyramids found around the world have failed to bear the scrutiny of time, and are all usually partially damaged or simply too small to be compared to the Egyptian ones. The question of how these pyramids were protected is something that confuses scientists to this day. Number 7. The Pyramid of Khafre is not the tallest. This is one fact that wasn't even well known until just a few hundred years ago. If you've seen any pictures of all the pyramids together,
they all look the same to me.
Khafre, the pyramid in the center that seems bigger and taller than the rest, towers above them all. While it does tower above them, it's actually because it's constructed on higher ground than the rest of them. In reality, the Pyramid of Khafre is about 136 meters tall and was originally around 143 meters tall. The Pyramid of Khufu alongside it is actually taller from the ground up at 1,385 meters tall.
Yeah,
and that
but
pyramid was originally
it's still
about
where they built it from.
146 meters tall. The Khafre Pyramid still remains the pyramid that's in the best condition, with part of the white limestone still visible on it.
Maybe that's why they
Number
built
6,
it on
the
something.
granite coffer inside the pyramid. We've learned a lot of things from science and historians about the Great Pyramids, but this is certainly not one of them. There is a granite coffer located inside one of the pyramids. And
is that a
it looks like really a tomb. A remarkable discovery, considering how...
I know there's not really a lot of entrances to these pyramids, so how do they build that inside there? How do they have that coffin put in there? Because I know I've seen this video where the holes to the pyramid, they're so small, a human can't get in there. A human can, but not something like a whole coffin that big. So how did that get in?
Around the pyramids themselves are. There is the one really special thing about that granite coffer. It's too big.
Look at that, look at the space.
The granite coffer is simply too big to fit inside the room it's in. There's no possible way it would have gotten in there without damaging the entry or coffer itself, unless the room was actually built around this. Scientists have tried to look for answers, but have always come back empty-handed.
So they built...
Number 5. The various theories about their origin. You've probably heard some of these theories before, but because the Egyptian pyramids have a history that's clouded by mystery and uncertainty, many people have made their own theories about their origins and how they came into being. Since the pyramids were made at a time where it would have normally been impossible to build something of this scale, some people believe that there might have been extraterrestrial help in their construction, and that the pyramids might be a base for extraterrestrial landings in the future, or may have been one in the past. Of course, scientists won't ever rule out everything, even if it's something as unlikely as this. We may never truly know the story behind these magnificent structures. Number 4. The temperature inside the pyramids.
I'm getting so suspicious of these new theories that bring out extraterrestrial beings in play to making pyramids. We've never seen one ourselves. The only thing I'd spectate to be an alien is if it's a demon, honestly, because that's the only thing that'd be unhuman. Like all the aliens that we paint as alien, they look too weird to have been made on any planet. Because like I always say, if it's something that's an alien, it has to be looking like us, because we're all made on the same galaxy, or not same galaxy, but we're all beings that breathe in air and all that stuff. So we should at least look alike. The only thing that makes an alien is that it wasn't made on Earth. If aliens are possible, it's like it'd be human looking, like let's say other humans that are like that speak weird languages and all that, but they're not from Earth. We could call those aliens because technically they are alien to Earth. So yeah, that's how I see
Conditioning
that
is
stuff.
truly a luxury that we all take for granted in the 21st century. But in ancient Egypt, they didn't have such luxuries. Despite not having any access to electricity or machines that could cool air, the Great Pyramids of Giza are
I mean,
all
we
about
don't know
20
though.
degrees Celsius on the inside.
Oh yeah, I mean they
with the
blow the
temperature never
pharaoh.
exceeding that point. Considering the temperature in the desert can get upwards of 50 degrees Celsius, that's a remarkable feat in and of itself that ancient Egyptian engineers were smart enough to construct something that self-regulates the temperature. Number 3, it was built without slaves.
That's a lie.
One common
Pyramids
misconception
were
about the
built by
pyramids is that
slaves.
they were probably built by chained slaves who were forced to carry heavy blocks of limestone on their backs somehow. But that theory, which was usually peddled by ancient Greek historians who tried to make sense of the pyramids' construction, has been proven to be false.
Then bro, okay, look, I don't care how smart we're trying to sound in this video. Saying that they weren't built by slaves is the dumbest theory you could start bringing out. Because are you saying the Egyptians built this stuff? They themselves. They didn't do the dirty work, bro. The Egyptians were sweet. They were living large. They had slaves. They had Hebrew slaves. That stuff is written. And yeah, this video is tripping. Are you sure they didn't have slaves, bro? Because you just said the Bible is lying completely.
In recent times, workers' living quarters have shown that they lived quite luxurious lives. They were usually hand-picked among the best workers in the empire, and there were even nearby cities and settlements where they grew their own food and lived with their families if they had one. Working conditions weren't nearly that bad either. Ancient Egyptians were recently
Bro, you're a
uncovered with
slave.
access to post holes, ramps,
Saying
and
working
stairs
conditions
that would allow
weren't
them
that
to
bad?
transport these large blocks, although with a lot of workers. Number 2, they're not
Yeah,
the
this
only
guy's
pyramids in the
tripping.
region.
This guy is
The Great
he's
Pyramids
on
of
crack.
Giza are one of the most well-known pieces of architecture in the history of mankind. Few other buildings, even megastructures that were built thousands of years after these, failed to live up to the grandeur and spectacularity of these few structures. However, while they may be monumental, they're far from the only pyramids in the region. Numerous other pyramid complexes exist both
But
within
this is
and
pretty
outside the borders of
impressive to
Egypt.
do.
In fact, the country with the most pyramids in the world isn't even Egypt. Bordering Sudan, which was once the center of the Nubian civilization that
Yeah,
was
but look how
closely
small
linked
they
to
are.
Egypt, is home
So
to
we
more
don't-
pyramids than anywhere else on Earth, over 220. This
Oh,
really makes you and
not
scientists
bad, but
wonder how many
I
pyramids
like
still
the size
exist in the region that we
difference.
simply have yet to uncover. Number 1, it was the tallest building on Earth for thousands of years. And finally, something that doesn't actually confuse scientists as much as it fascinates them is that nothing of the Great Pyramid scale would be built for thousands of years. The Great Pyramid of Giza, or the Khufu Pyramid, was built around 2500 BC, and it was only around 1300 AD, almost 3,000 years later, when the Tower of the Lincoln's Cathedral in England would finally surpass that height. In terms of skyscrapers, it wasn't even until the 20th century that we were finally able to make one that surpassed its height with the Singer Building in Manhattan.
This guy was tripping for once. He said slaves didn't build the pyramids. Then how do you explain that? How do you explain them being there? Because they had to have been slaves. Otherwise, you're just saying they casted magic spells. Pyramid, arise. No, they didn't do that. They had slaves, of course. This guy's he's joking. He has to be. Otherwise, you're just calling me dumb for always believing that. But yeah, you guys tell me what you thought and have a nice day.